Weavelang Scandal in Bohemia. Chapter 1. To Sherlock Holmes, ella is always la woman. I have almost never heard lo call la by any other name. In ella's eyes, ella es more important que todas las otras mujeres juntas. It was not que él loved Irene Adler. All feelings, y love most of all, were things his cold, careful, but perfectly balanced mind could not stand. Él was la best thinking y watching machine que el world had ever seen. But if él tried to be someone's boyfriend, él would have made himself look foolish. Él never talked about gentle feelings like love, except to make fun of ellos. These feelings were useful things for someone que watches people. Ellos were great for figuring out why people do lo que ellos do. But for someone que was trained to think clearly, letting such feelings into his own careful y perfectly tuned mind would bring in something que would mess up his thinking and make que él doubt all his smart ideas. A piece of dirt in a delicate tool or a crack in one of his powerful magnifying glasses would not bother lo more que a strong feeling would bother someone like él. Y yet there was only one woman que mattered to él, and that woman was Irene Adler, who had died and whose past was full of secrets and questions. I had not seen much of Holmes lately. Getting married had pulled us apart de each other. I was completely happy, and all las things que come with running your own home for la first time took up all my time, while Holmes, who hated being around other people with his whole wild heart, stayed in our old rooms in Baker Street, buried in his old books, and going back and forth the week to week between taking cocaine and working in big cases, between el sleepy feeling que la droga gavele and the wild energy of his own sharp mind. Él was still, as always, deeply interested in studying crime and used his huge brain and amazing powers de watching and noticing to follow clues and solve mysteries que la regular policía had given up on as impossible. Sometimes I heard bits and pieces about lo que él was doing, how él was called to Odessa to help solve el Trepov murder, how él figured out el strange case de los Atkinson brothers en Trincomalee, and how él did a very careful y secret job for la Royal Familia de Holanda. But other than these things I read about in los newspapers, just like everyone else, I knew very little about my old friend. One night, it was Marzo 20, 1888, I was coming back de visiting a sick person. I was working as a doctor again, and I had to walk through Baker Street. When I walked past la door I knew so well, which always made me think, and when I was trying to win my wife, and in las scary things que happened en el estudio en Escarlata case, I really wanted to see Holmes again and find out qué él was doing with his amazing skills. His rooms were bright with light, and when I looked up, I saw his tall, thin shape walk back and forth twice like a dark shadow against la window shade. Él was walking around la room quickly and eagerly, with his head down and his hands held together behind his back. I knew all his moods and ways, so I could tell qué was happening just by looking at él. Él was working on a case again. Él had woken up de los strange dreams que drugs gavele and was now chasing after some new mystery. I rang el doorbell and someone brought me up to la room que used to be partly mine too. Él was not very excited to see me. Él almost never was, but I think él was happy de que I came. Without saying much, but with kind eyes, él pointed me to a big chair, tossed me his box de cigars, and showed me where las drinks were en el corner. Then él stood in front of la fireplace and looked me up and down de that strange way él had de studying people. Being married is good for you, él said. I think, Watson, que you have gained 7.5 pounds since I last saw you. 7? I said. Really? I would have thought it was a little more. Just a tiny bit more, I think, Watson. You are working as a doctor again, I see. You did not tell me that you were going to start working as a doctor again. Then how do I know? I can see it. I figured lo out. How do I know that you have been getting very wet lately and that you have a servant girl que is very messy and does not pay attention? My dear Holmes, I said, this is too much. People would have burned you alive if you had lived a few hundred years ago. It is true que I took a walk in the country el Thursday and came home covered the mud, but I changed my clothes, so I cannot understand how you figured it out. As for Mary Jane, ella cannot be fixed, and my wife told her ella has to leave, but again, I do not see how you worked it out. He laughed quietly to himself and rubbed his long, thin hands together. It is very simple, él said. My eyes tell me que en el inside of your left shoe, right where la light del fire hits lo, el leather has 6 cuts que are almost straight across. Someone clearly scraped around los edges de la bottom de your shoe very carelessly to get dried mud de él. So you see, I figured out 2 things, que you had been out in terrible weather y que you have a very bad servant girl que cuts up your boots when ella cleans las. As for your work as a doctor, if a man walks into my room smelling like medicine, with a black mark de silver medicine in his right finger, y a bump en el right side of his hat where él hides his listening tool for hearts, I would have to be very stupid not to know él is a working doctor. I could not help laughing de que easily él explained how él figured it all out. When I hear you give your reasons, I said, it always seems so silly and simple que I could easily do lo myself, but every time you think through something, I am confused until you explain how you did it. Y yet I think que my eyes work just as well as yours. That is right, él said, lighting a cigarette and throwing himself down in a chair. You see, but you do not really look carefully. There is a big difference. For example, you have seen los steps que go up from el front hall to this room many times. A lot. How many times? Well, maybe hundreds the times. Then how many steps are there? How many? I don't know. That's right. You did not pay attention. You saw los steps, but you did not really look at los. That's exactly lo que I mean. Now, I know there are 17 steps because I both saw los and paid attention to ellos. Since you like these little puzzles, y since you write down some de las things I do, you might find this interesting. Él tossed over a thick piece de pink paper que had been sitting open on la table. It came with today's mail, él said. Readlo out loud. La note had no date en ella, y no name or address either. Someone will come to see you tonight at 15 minutes before 8 o'clock, it said. A man que wants to ask you about something very important. You helped one of the las royal families in Europe, and that showed everyone que you can be trusted with things que are more important que almost anything else. We have heard this about you de many people. Be in your room at that time, and don't ser upset if la person que comes to see you is wearing a mask. This is really strange, I said. ¿Qué do you think it means? I don't know enough yet. It's a big mistake to guess lo que happened before you know los facts. Without thinking en ello, you start to change los facts to fit los guesses, instead of making your guesses fit los facts. But let us look at la note and see. ¿Qué can you tell de ella? I looked very carefully at la writing y el paper que it was written on. El man que wrote this probably had a lot of money, I said, trying to think the way my friend did. This kind of paper costs at least half a crown for a pack. It's very thick and strong. Strange, that's exactly la right word, said Holmes. This isn't English paper at all. Hold lo up to the light. I did lo que él said, y I could see a big E with a little G, a P, and a big G with a little T pressed en el paper. ¿Qué do you think that means? Asked Holmes. El name de whoever made el paper, or maybe just their special mark. No, not at all.
La G with la small t means Gesellschaft, que is la word German for compañía. It's a short way to write-lo, like we use CO. La P means paper, que is German for paper. Now let's look at el EG. Let me check our book about different countries. El pull the big brown book down from the shelf. Eglo, Eglonitz, aquí es, Egria. It is in a place where people speak German in Bohemia, close to a town called Karlsbad. This place is famous because a man named Wallenstein died there, and because it has many places que make glass and paper. Haha, my boy, ¿qué do you think about that? His eyes lit up with excitement, y él blew out a big blue cloud of smoke from his cigarette. El paper was made in Bohemia. Exactly right.
Y el man que wrote la note is German. Do you see la strange way él put las words together? This account the you we have the all quarters received. A person de Francia or Rusia would not have written it that way. It is Germans who put their action words in such odd places. So now we just need to find out qué this German man wants, el que writes in paper de Bohemia and likes to wear a mask instead of showing his face. Y here él comes now, if I am right, to answer all our questions. As él spoke, we heard a loud sound de horses' feet y wheels scraping against la street. And then someone pulled hard the our doorbell. Holmes made a whistling sound. 2 horses from el sound, él said. Yes, él said, looking out la window. A nice little carriage pulled by 2 beautiful horses, 150 guineas each. There's money to be made in this case, Watson, if nothing else. I think I should leave now, Holmes. No need to that, Doctor. Stay right where you are. I need you here to help me think things through. This looks like it will be very interesting. It would be too bad to miss lo. But la person que came to see you? Don't worry about él. I might need your help, y él might need la too. Here él comes now. Sit down in that big chair, Doctor, y pay close attention to everything. Someone was walking slowly y heavily up las stairs y down el hall, and now los footsteps stopped right outside la door. Then someone knocked on la door loudly, like they were used to being in charge. Come in, said Holmes. A man walked in que was at least 6 feet 6 inches, with a chest y arms as big and strong as a giant de las old stories. His clothes were fancy the way that people in Inglaterra would think was too much and not very nice looking. Thick strips of soft gray fur were sewn across las sleeves y front of his coat que button up the middle, y la dark blue cape over his shoulders was lined with bright red silk and held together in his neck with a pin que had one big green stone que seemed to glow like fire. His boots came up halfway to his knees and had rich brown fur around las tops, y everything about la way it looked made you think in someone que had lots de money but came to a wild, far-away place. Él held a big hat in his hand, y él wore a black mask over la top part of his face. It went down past his cheeks. It looked like he just put la mask on because his hand was still touching la when he came in. You could see la bottom part of his face, y it looked like a strong man with thick lips que hung down y a long chin que made him look like someone que never gave up, even when it should. Did you get my letter? Él asked in a deep, rough voice with la way German people talk. I told Le I would come to see lo. Él looked back and forth between us like él did not know which one of us to talk to. Please sit down, said Holmes. This is my friend, Dr. Watson, who sometimes helps me solve mysteries. What is your name? You can call me Conde von Kram. I am a rich man de a place called Bohemia. I think your friend here is a good man que can keep secrets, so I can trust in él with something very important. If I am wrong, I would rather talk to you by yourself. I started to get up and leave, but Holmes grabbed my arm and pushed me back down in my chair. We both hear lo, or nobody does, él said. You can say anything to él que you would say to me. El Conde moved his big shoulders up and down. Then I have to start, él said, by making you both promise to keep this secret for 2 years. After that time, it will not matter anymore. Right now, this thing is so important que it could change lo que happens to all los countries in Europa. Lo promise, Holmes said. Me too. You will have to excuse this mask, que el strange man who was visiting us said. La important person I work for wants you not to know who él is, y I should tell you right away que el name I just gave le is not really mine. I already knew that, Holmes said in a flat voice. This is a very careful matter. If we have to be extra careful to stop lo que could become a huge mess que would badly hurt one of las royal families de Europe. To say it clearly, this involves la great house of Ormstein, la family que has always been los kings of Bohemia. I knew that too, Holmes said quietly, sitting back in his chair and closing his eyes.
El man que was visiting them looked surprised at how relaxed and lazy que seemed Holmes, since people probably had told him que Holmes was el thinker most intelligent and el worker hardest in all of Europa. Holmes slowly opened his eyes again and looked at his very tall visitor with no patience. If your Majestad would be willing to tell me lo que happened, él said, I could help le better. El man jumped up de his chair and walked back and forth across la room because él was so upset que could not controlse. Then, like someone que had given up hope, él ripped la fake face off and threw la on the floor. You are right, él shouted. I am el rey. Why should I try to hide lo? Why should you? Said Holmes quietly. Your Majesty had not said a word before I knew I was talking to Wilhelm Gottschalk, Sigismund von Arnstein, Grand Duke de Kassel-Felstein, and el King de Bohemia, whose family has always ruled there. But you can understand, said el strange man who was visiting, sitting down again and rubbing his hand across his high white forehead. You can understand que I am not used to doing this kind of work myself, but this was such a careful matter que I could not tell someone else to do lo without giving him power over me. I came here in secret de Praga to ask for your help. Then please, ask, said Holmes, closing his eyes again. Here is lo que happened. About 5 years ago, when I was visiting Varsovia for a long time, I met la famous woman adventurer Irene Adler. You have probably heard that name before. Please look her up in my list, doctor, said Holmes quietly without opening his eyes. For many years, él had kept a system de writing down everything about all kinds of people and things, so it was hard to think in anything él could not tell you about right away. I found lo que él had written about ella right between a story about a Jewish teacher and a story about a Navy officer who had written a book about fish that live deep in an ocean. Let me see, said Holmes. Born in New Jersey in the year 1858. Contralto, La Scala, main singer in la big opera house in Varsovia. Stopped singing in operas. Living in Londres. Eso is correct. Your Majesty, as I understand it, you got mixed up with this young woman, wrote le some letters que could get lo in trouble, and now you want those letters back. That's exactly right. But how? Did you marry ella in secret? No. Are there any official papers que say you're married? No. Then I don't understand the que you're worried about, Your Majestad.
If this young woman tries to use your letters to make you pay money or cause other trouble, how can ella prove que you really wrote las? There is la writing. That means nothing. Someone else wrote lo. My own special paper. Someone stole lo. My own special mark. Someone copied lo. My picture. Someone bought lo. We were both in la picture together. Oh no, that is very bad. Your Majesty has done something very foolish. I was crazy. I was not thinking right. You have gotten yourself in serious trouble. I was only going to be king someday back then. I was young. I am only 30 years old now. We must get it back. We have tried and we could not do it. Your Majestad must pay. Ello must be bought. Ella will not sell. Stolen then. 5 attempts have been made. Twice burglars in my pay ransacked her house. Once we diverted her luggage when ella traveled. Twice ella has been waylaid. There has been no result. No sign of it? Absolutely none. Holmes laughed. It is quite a pretty little problem, said él, but a very serious one to me, returned el rey reproachfully. Very indeed. ¿Y qué does ella propose to do with la photograph? To ruin me. But how? I am about to be married. So lo have heard. To Clotilde Lothman von Saxe-Meiningen, second daughter of the King de Scandinavia. You may know how strict her family is about doing lo right thing. Ella herself is very careful about being proper and good. If ella had even a tiny worry about how I act, everything would be over. ¿Y qué about Irene Adle? Ella says que ella will send them la photograph, and ella will do lo. Ella will do lo. I know que ella will do lo. You do not know her, but ella is as strong and hard as steel inside. Ella has the face of the most beautiful woman in the world, but she thinks like the strongest and most determined man. Ella would do anything to stop me from marrying another woman, anything at all.
Are you sure de que ella has not sent lo yet? I am sure. ¿Y why? Because ella said que ella would send lo el day when everyone finds out que I am going to get married. That will be next Monday. Oh, then we have 3 days left, said Holmes as él yawned. That is very good, because I have 1 or 2 important things to take care of right now. Your Majesty will stay in Londres for now, of course? Yes, I will. You can find me in el Hotel Langham. I will be using el name Conde von Cram. Then I will write you a letter to tell you how things are going. Please do that. I will be very worried until I hear from you. Now, ¿qué about el money? You can spend as much as you need. Really? Any amount? I am telling you que I would give away 1 de las parts de my kingdom to get that picture back. ¿Y what about el money I need right now? El rey pulled a heavy leather bag from under his coat y putla on the table. There are 300 pounds in gold coins y 700 in paper money, él said. Holmes wrote out a paper saying él got el money y gave-lo to the rey. ¿Y where does la lady live? Él asked. En Bryony Lodge, en Serpentine Avenue, en St. John's Wood. Holmes wrote that down. I have 1 more question, él said. Was el picture a big one? Yes, it was. Then good night, Your Majestad, y I hope we will have good news for you soon. Y good night, Watson, él said, as el rey's fancy carriage rolled away down la street. If you would be good enough to come tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock, I would like to talk about this small problem with you. Chapter 2. At exactly 3 o'clock, I was in Baker Street, but Holmes had not come back yet. La woman que owned la house told me que él had left shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning. I sat down by the fire to wait for él, no matter qué long it might take.
I was already very interested in his case, because even though it did not have any de las scary and strange things que came with los two crimes I have already written about, el kind of problem it was, y la important person who asked for help made lo special de its own way. Even without thinking in el mystery my friend was working on, there was something about the way él understood everything so well, y his sharp, clear thinking que made me happy to watch how él worked and to follow las quick, clever ways él used to solve los most tangled puzzles. I was so accustomed to the fact that he always won que I had stopped thinking que ever he could fail. It was almost 4 o'clock when la door opened and a man que looked like él took care of horses walked in, looking like él had been drinking, with messy hair and whiskers en los sides of his face, a red face, and terrible clothes. Even though I knew how amazing my friend was at dressing up like other people, I had to look 3 times before I was sure it was really él. Él nodded and went in el bedroom, and came out 5 minutes later wearing a nice suit and looking respectable, just like always. Él put his hands in his pockets, stretched his legs out in front of el fire, and laughed very hard for several minutes. Well, really, él said. And then él started choking and laughing again until he had to lean back in la chair, too weak and helpless to sit up straight. ¿Qué is happening? It's just too funny. I am sure you could never guess how I spent my morning or qué I ended up doing. I can't imagine. I think you have been watching lo que señorita Irene Adler does, and maybe watching her house. Yes, that's right, but lo que happened next was quite unusual. I will tell you about it though. I left la house a little after 8 o'clock this morning, dressed like a man looking for work taking care of horses. Men que work with horses have a special way de understanding each other and helping each other out. If you become one of them, you will learn everything there is to know. I found Bryony Lodge without any trouble. It is a pretty little house with a garden in el back, but el front goes right up to the road and it has 2 floors. La door has a strong lock made by Chubb. There is a big living room on the right side with nice furniture and tall windows que go almost down to the floor, and those silly English window locks que even a child could open. En el back there was nothing special, except que you could reach la window en el hallway if you climbed up on top of the place where they keep the carriages. I walked all around la house and looked at it carefully from every side, but I did not see anything else que mattered.
Then I walked slowly down la street and found, just like I thought I would, que there was a place where ellos keep horses in a small road que runs along one wall of the garden. I helped the men que take care of los horses rub them down, and ellos gave me 2 pennies, a drink que was half beer and half ale, tobacco for my pipe twice, and all la information I wanted about Señorita Adler, plus stories about 6 other people en el área que I did not care about at all, but had to listen to anyway. ¿Y qué about Irene Adler? I asked. Oh, ella has made all los men in that area fall in love de ella. Ella es la most beautiful woman you could ever see. That is lo que says every man que works en los horse stables Serpentine. Ella lives quietly, sings in concerts, goes out for a drive at 5 o'clock every day, and comes back at exactly 7 for dinner. Ella almost never goes out in other times except when ella has to sing somewhere. Only one man comes to visit la, but él comes a lot. Él has dark hair and is good-looking and exciting, and él comes to see la at least once every day, and often twice. His name is Señor Godfrey Norton, and he works as a lawyer in el Inner Temple. You can see why a cab driver makes a good person to tell you secrets. Ellos had taken lo home many times from Serpentine, and ellos knew everything about él. After I heard everything ellos told me, I started walking back and forth near Bryony Lodge again, thinking in my plan. This Godfrey Norton was clearly very important to lo que was happening. Él was a lawyer. That did not sound good. How did él know her, and why did él keep coming to visit? Was ella someone él worked for, his friend, or la woman él loved?
If ella was someone Elle worked for, ella had probably givenle la photograph to keep safe. If ella was la woman Elle loved, that was less likely. La answer to this question would decide whether I should keep working in Bryony Lodge or go watch la man's office in El Temple instead. Ello was a hard question to answer, and it made my job much bigger. I am afraid que I'm telling you too many small details, where I have to show you los problems que I had, or you will not understand lo que happened. I am listening carefully to everything you say. I was still trying to decide qué to do when a horse cab came up to Bryony Lodge, and a man jumped out. Él was a very good-looking man, with dark hair, a sharp nose, and a mustache. Clearly, el man I had heard about. Él seemed to be in a big hurry, yelled to the cab driver to wait, and pushed past la servant girl que opened la door like a man que lived there. Él was in la house for about half an hour, and I could see-lo through las windows of the sitting room, walking back and forth, talking in an excited way, and moving his arms around. I could not see-la at all. Soon, él came out, looking even more upset que before. While he was walking toward the carriage, he took out a gold watch de his pocket and looked at it carefully. "Drive as fast as you can," he shouted. "First to la shop de Gross Hanky en Regent Street, and then to la Iglesia de Santa Monica en Edgware Road. I'll give you half a guinea if you do-lo in 20 minutes. Ellos drove away, and I was thinking about whether I should follow them when a small fancy carriage came up the lane. El driver's coat was only half-buttoned, his tie was crooked under his ear, and all las straps de his horse gear were hanging loose de las buckles. Before the carriage stopped, ella came running out de la front door and jumped inside. I only saw her for a second, but ella was a beautiful woman with a face that a man would do anything for. "La Church de Santa Monica, John," she called out, "and I'll give you half a sovereign if you get there in 20 minutes. This was too good to miss, Watson. I was trying to decide whether I should run after ellos or jump on la back of her carriage when a cab came down la street. El driver looked twice at me because I looked so poor and shabby, but I jumped in before él could say no. "La Church de Santa Monica," I said, "and half a sovereign if you get there in 20 minutes. It was 25 minutes before 11 o'clock, and I could tell lo que was going to happen. My cab driver drove fast. I don't think que ever went faster, but los others got there before us. The cab and the fancy carriage with their sweating horses were in front of la church door when I got there. I paid the man and hurried into la church."
There was no one inside except las dos people I had followed y un priest in white robes who seemed to be arguing with ellos. Los three de ellos were standing together in front of el altar. I walked slowly up el side de la church like any person who just wanders in a church. Suddenly, las three people en el altar turned around to look at me, y Godfrey Norton came running toward me as fast as él could. "Thank Dios," él cried. "You'll do. Come, come." "¿Qué then?" I asked. "Come, man, come. Only 3 minutes, or it won't be allowed by law." Ellos pulled me up to el front of la church, y before I knew lo que was happening, I was saying words que someone whispered in my ear y helping to marry Irene Adler to Godfrey Norton. It all happened so fast, y then the man was thanking me on one side y la woman on the other, while el churchman smiled at me. It was la strangest thing que ever happened to me in my whole life, and thinking in ello is lo que made me start laughing just now. It seems que something was wrong with their marriage papers, y el churchman would not marry them without someone there to watch, and I showed up in just the right time to help the man que was getting married. La woman getting married gave me a gold coin, and I planned to wearla in my watch chain to remember lo que happened. "This is very strange," I said. "¿Y qué happened next?" "Well, I found que my plans were in big trouble. It looked like los dos de ellos might leave right away, and that meant I would have to act very fast. En la church door, ellos went different ways. Él went back to his place, y ella went to her house. I will go for a ride in el park at 5, like I always do.
Ella said as ella left him. I heard nothing more. Ellos drove away in different directions and I went off to get ready for lo que I needed to do. Which are? Some cold meat y a glass de beer, él said, ringing la bell. I have been too busy to think and eating, and I will probably be even busier tonight. Doctor, I need your help with something. I would be happy to help. Do you mind breaking las rules? Not at all. ¿Qué if you might get caught by la police? Not if it's for a good reason. Oh, this is for a very good reason. Then I will help you. I knew que I could count on you. But ¿qué do you want me to do? When Señora Turner brings our food, I will tell you everything. Now, él said as he started eating la simple meal our landlady had made for us, I have to talk while I eat because I don't have much time. It's almost 5 o'clock now. In 2 hours we have to be where everything will happen. Señora Irene, or I should say Señora Irene, will come back the her carriage ride at 7. We have to be in Bryony Lodge when ella arrives there. ¿Y then qué happens? You have to let me take care of that. Already I have planned lo que we are going to do. There is only one thing I must tell you que you have to do. You must not get in the way, no matter lo que happens. Do you understand? I should stay out of ello? Do nothing at all. There will probably be a little bit of trouble. Do not help with any of ello. It will end with ellos taking me into la house. 4 or 5 minutes after that, la window of the sitting room will open. You need to stand close to la open window. Yes. You need to watch me, because you will be able to see me. Yes. And when I lift my hand up like this, you will throw into the room lo que I give you to throw, and at the same time, you will yell que there is a fire. Do you understand everything lo que I have just said? Yes, I understand lo all. It is nothing scary, él said, taking a long thing-shaped cigar de his pocket. It is just a regular smoke thing que workers use, with caps in both ends so it lights itself. That is all you have to do. When you yell about fire, many other people will start yelling lo too. You can walk to the end of la street and I will meet you there in 10 minutes. Do you understand lo que I am saying? I stay out of her way, get close to the window, watch you, y when you give me la sign, I throw this thing inside, then yell que there is a fire, and wait for you in the corner of la street. That is right. You can count on me to do lo. That is very good. I think it might be time for me to get ready for el new part que I have to play. Él went in his bedroom and came back a few minutes later looking like a friendly and simple church minister.
His white black hat, his loose pants, his white tie, his kind smile, y la way él looked around with gentle interest made him look just like a real minister. Holmes did not just change his clothes. La way él looked, la way él acted, his whole self seemed to change completely with every new person él pretended to be. El theater lost a great actor, y science lost a smart thinker, when él decided to spend his time catching criminals instead. We left Baker Street at 6:15 y arrived at Serpentine Avenue 10 minutes before 7. It was getting dark, y people were just starting to light las street lamps as we walked back and forth in front of Bryony Lodge, waiting for la person que lived there to come home. La house looked just like I thought it would from la way Sherlock Holmes had described la. But la street was not as quiet as I expected. For a small street in a quiet part of la town, there were a lot of people around. There was a group of men in old clothes smoking and laughing in a corner, a man sharpening scissors with his wheel, 2 soldiers talking with a young woman que took care of children, y several well-dressed young men walking around with cigars in their mouths. Holmes said as we walked back and forth in front of la house, "This marriage makes things easier for us. La photograph can now hurt her the 2 different ways. Ella probably does not want Señor Godfrey Norton to see lo, just like our client does not want his princess to see lo. Now la question is, where can we find la photograph? Where, really? Ella probably does not carry lo around with her. It is the size de a big picture, too big to hide easily in a woman's dress. Ella knows que el rey might have people stop la and look through her things. 2 times already people have tried to do this. So we can be sure que ella does not carry law with ella. Where then? Her banker or her lawyer? Ello could be with either one de ellos. But I do not think ello is with either one. Women like to keep secrets and they like to hide their own things. Why would ella give law to someone else? Ella could keep law safe herself, but ella could not know qué people might do to make a businessman give it up. Also, remember que ella planned to use it in just a few days. Ello must be somewhere ella can get to it quickly. Ello must be in her own house. But people have broken into her house twice to look for law. Nonsense. Ellos did not know how to look. But how will you look? I will not look. Then ¿qué? I will make ella show it to me. But ella will refuse. Ella will not be able to. But I hear el sound the wheels rolling. It is her carriage. Now do exactly lo que I told you to do. As él spoke, las lights de el side of a carriage came around la bend in el road. It was a nice little carriage que rolled up fast to la door de Bryony Lodge. When se stopped, one of the men hanging around in the corner ran forward to open la door, hoping to get some money. But another man pushed him away because él wanted to do the same thing. A big fight started y se got worse when 2 guards joined in to help one of the men, y a man que sharpened scissors got just as angry and helped the other side. Someone threw a punch y right away la lady que had stepped out of her carriage was in the middle of a group of angry men que were hitting each other hard with their hands and sticks. Holmes ran into la crowd to keep la lady safe, but just as él broke to ella, él cried out and fell to la ground with blood running down his face. When él fell, los guards ran away in one direction y los other men ran away in another direction, while some people in nice clothes who had been watching la fight without joining in came over to help la lady and take care of the hurt man. Irene Adler, as still I shall call her, had quickly run up las steps, but she stood at the top with her beautiful figure outlined against las lights of la hall, looking back at la street. ¿Is el poor man badly hurt? Ella asked. Él is dead, several voices cried out. No, no, he's still alive, shouted another person. But he'll die before you can get him to la hospital. He's a brave man, said a woman. Those bad men would have stolen el señora money and watch if él hadn't stopped los. Ellos were a group of criminals and they were very dangerous too. Oh, he's breathing now. Él can't stay lying in la street. Can we bring him inside, ma'am? Of course, bring him into la living room. There is a soft couch there. This way, please.
Slowly and carefully, ellos carriedlo into Bryony Lodge and putlo down in la main room while I still watched everything happen from my spot by la window. Las lights had been turned on, but las window covers had not been closed, so I could see Holmes as él lay in a couch. I do not know if él felt bad in that moment about el trick él was playing, but I know que I had never felt so ashamed of myself in my whole life as when I saw the beautiful woman we were lying to, and how kind and gentle ella was as ella took care of the hurt man. But it would be the worst kind of betrayal to Holmes if I stopped now and didn't do lo que él had asked me to do. I made myself feel strong, and I took la smoke bomb de under my coat. After all, I thought, we are not really hurting her. We are just stopping her de hurting someone else. Holmes had sat up in el couch, and I saw lo move like a man que needs fresh air. A servant girl ran over and opened la window wide. Right then, I saw lo lift his hand, and when él gave me la sign, I threw my rocket into la room and yelled, "Fire!" As soon as I said that word, everyone watching started screaming fire too. La rich people and la poor people, los men que took care of horses, and las servant girls. Thick clouds de smoke rolled through la room and out la open window. I saw people running around, and then I heard Holmes calling from inside the room, telling everyone it was not a real fire.
I pushed through all the shouting people and got to the corner de la street, and 10 minutes later, I was happy to find my friend walking beside me as we got away de all the noise and trouble. Él walked fast and said nothing for a few minutes until we turned onto one of la quiet streets que go toward la Edgware Road. You did that very well, doctor, él said. It could not have been better. Everything worked perfectly. Do you have la photograph? I know where it is. How did you find out? Ella showed me, just like I told you ella would. I still do not understand. I do not want to make this seem like a big mystery, él said, laughing. Ello was really very simple. You saw que everyone de la street was helping us, right? I paid all of them to be there tonight. I thought que that might be lo que happened. Then, when la fight started, I had a little wet red paint in my hand. I ran forward, fell down, put my hand on my face, and looked like I was badly hurt. It is an old trick. I could understand that too. Then, ellos carried me inside. Ella had to let me in. ¿Qué else could ella do? And ellos took me into her sitting room, que was el exact room I thought it would be. Ello was between that room and her bedroom, and I wanted to see which one ello was. Ellos put me on a couch. I moved my hands like I needed air. Ellos had to open la window, and you got your chance. How did that help you? Ello was very important. When a woman thinks her house is burning down, ella will always run first to la thing que cares about most. Ella cannot help herself, and I have used this trick more than once. It helped me with el Darlington problem and also with el Armsworth asshole job. A married woman grabs her baby. A woman with no husband reaches for her jewelry box. Now I could see que la lady today had nothing in her house que mattered more to ella que lo que we are looking for. Ella would run to keep lo safe. La fire alarm worked perfectly. El smoke and yelling were enough to scare anyone, even someone very brave. Ella did exactly lo que she should have done. El picture is hidden in a space behind the moving piece of wood just above el right bell rope. Ella ran there right away, and I saw a little bit de ello when ella started to pull it out. When I yelled que there was no real danger, ella put it back, looked at el rocket, ran out de la room, and I have not seen la since then. I got up and said I had to leave, then got away de la house. I thought about trying to get el picture right then, but el man que drove la carriage had come inside and was watching me very carefully, so it seemed better to wait. Moving too fast might mess up everything. And ¿qué happens now? I asked. We are almost done with lo que we came to do. I will go with El Rey tomorrow, and you can come with us if you want to. They will take us to the living room to wait for la lady, but when ella comes, probably she will find que we have gone, and also la image. El Rey might feel good about getting lo back with his own hands. And when will you go there? At 8 of the morning.
Ella will still be sleeping, so no one will get in our way. Also, we need to hurry, because getting married might change everything about how ella lives. I need to send a message to the Rey right away. We had arrived at Baker Street and we stopped en la door. Él was looking through his pockets for la key when someone walking by said, "Good night, Sr. Sherlock Holmes." There were several people walking on the street in that time, but el hello seemed to come de a thin young man in a long coat who had walked quickly past ellos. "I have heard that voice before," said Holmes, looking down la dark street. "Now, I wonder who in the world that could have been." I slept in Baker Street that night, and we were eating our toast and drinking our coffee in the morning when El Rey de Bohemia ran into la room. "You really have lo," él said loudly, grabbing Sherlock Holmes by both shoulders and looking hard into his face. "Not yet. But you think you can get lo?"
I think I can getlo. Then come, I cannot wait any longer to go. We need to get a horse y cart to ride in. No, my fancy carriage is waiting outside. Then that will make things easier. We went downstairs and started off again toward Bryony Lodge. Irene Adler got married, said Holmes. Married? When? Yesterday. But to who? To an English lawyer named Norton. But ella could not love law. I hope que ella dos. Y why do you hope that? Because it would save your Majestad the worrying about que ella bothering you later. If la lady loves her husband, ella does not love your Majestad. If ella does not love your Majestad, there is no reason why ella should get in the way of el Majestad plan. That is true. Y yet, well, I wish ella had been born a princess like me, que a great queen ella would have been. Él became quiet and sad. He did not speak again until we stopped in Serpentine Avenue. La door de Bryony Lodge was open, and a woman old was standing in los steps. Ella watched us with a mean look in her eyes as we got out of el carriage. El Mr. Sherlock Holmes, I believe, she said. I am Mr. Holmes, my friend answered, looking at ella with surprise and wonder. Yes, my mistress told me que you would probably come here. Ella left this morning with her husband in el 5:15 train from Charing Cross to go to another country. ¿Qué? Sherlock Holmes took a step back, his face white with shock and surprise. You mean que ella has left Inglaterra? Never to come back. ¿Y los papers? Asked el rey in a rough voice. Everything is lost. We will see about that. He pushed the servant and ran toward the living room, with el rey and I following him behind. Los furniture was thrown around everywhere, with shelves torn apart and drawers pulled open, as if la lady had quickly searched through everything before ella ran away. Holmes ran to the bell rope, pulled back a small sliding cover, and stuck his hand inside to pull out a photograph and a letter. La photograph showed Irene Adler herself in a fancy dress, y la letter had writing en el front que said, Sherlock Holmes, Esquire, to be left till called for. My friend tore la open, y los three of us read la together. It was written at midnight la night before, and said this: My dear Sr. Sherlock Holmes, you really did lo very well. You fooled me completely. Until after la fire alarm, I did not think anything was wrong. But then, when I saw how I had given myself away, I began to think. Someone had warned me about you months ago. I had been told que if el rey hired someone to help lo, it would be you for sure. Y someone had given me your address. But even knowing all this, you still made me tell you lo que you wanted to know. Even after I started to think something was wrong, it was hard to believe que such a sweet, kind old priest could be doing anything bad. But you know, I learned how to be an actress myself. Wearing men's clothes is nothing new to me. I often use la freedom que dressing like a man gives me. I sent John, el man que drives my carriage, to watch you, then ran upstairs, put on my walking clothes, as I call la, and came down just as you left. Well, I followed you to your door, and that way I knew for sure que el famous Sherlock Holmes was really interested in me. Then I said good night to you, which was not very smart, and went to el temple to see my husband. We both thought que la best thing to do was run away, since we were being chased by such a dangerous enemy. So you will find la house empty when you come tomorrow.
About la photograph, your client can stop worrying. I love a man que is better de lo que él is, y that man loves me back. El rey can do whatever él wants without any trouble from someone él has hurt so badly. I keep la photograph only to protect myself, y to have something que always keeps me safe de anything que él might try to do to me later. I leave behind a photograph que él might want to have. Y I remain, dear Señor Sherlock Holmes, very truly yours, Irene Norton, que used to be Adler. ¡Qué mujer! ¡Oh, qué woman! Cried el rey de Bohemia when los three had read this letter. Did I not tell you how fast y brave ella was? Would ella not have been a wonderful queen? Is it not sad que ella was not as important as me? From lo que I have seen de la lady, ella seems to be much better que you are, your majestad, said Holmes in a cold voice. I am sorry que I could not do a better job with lo que you asked me to do. No, my dear man, said el rey, you did a wonderful job. I know que when ella gives her word, ella will keepla. El picture is now as safe as if we had burned it up. I am happy to hear you say that. You have helped me so much. Please tell me how I can pay you back. This ring. Él took a green snake ring de his finger y held lo out in his hand. You have something que I would like even more, said Holmes. Just tell me qué it is. That picture. El king looked at él like él could not believe lo que él heard. Irene picture? Él said loudly. Yes, if you want to give la to me. Thank you. Then we are all done with this problem. I hope you have a very good morning. He bowed y then walked away without shaking the hand of del rey, although el rey held it out to him, y I went with él back to his rooms. Y that was how a big trouble que could have hurt el kingdom de Bohemia was stopped, y how los best plans de Señor Sherlock Holmes were beaten by a smart woman. Él used to laugh de lo smart women could be, but I have not heard lo do that lately. Y when él talks de Irene Adler, or when él talks de her picture, él always calls la by el respectful name de the woman.